Me is Queen Heru, and thank you for joining me for another wonderful edition of Ask an Aquarius. If you haven't already, please hit the red subscribe button and smack the bell. All right, guys, you know I always got a lot to say. So somebody asked me today about Libras. Sometimes my Libras are very upset with me because my Libras, my Scorpios, my Capricorns don't always like what I have to say. And sometimes my Libras leave me messages and they're very angry with me because they don't think I'm fair to them. I did a video about Aquarius and Libra, and even though Libras are my favorite sign, they got some shit with them. They do. And when I tell it, they get pissed at me because Libra is the kind of sign that wants you to go along with their excuses and their bullshit. It's really the bottom line. They want you to go along with it. And not the balanced ones. The balanced ones are really sweet and charming and kind, and they like beauty and art and music. But the unbalanced ones want to feed you a line, want to feed you some bullshit, and they want you to consume it, you know? And when you don't, they get angry with you. So let's talk about the difference between the two. Somebody asked me, can Libras go between being balanced and unbalanced? Most Libras are one or the other. A Libra that's balanced is generally balanced all the time, except for when something happens. For example, a death or losing a job, a major life occurrence happening in their life, a baby being miscarried or something like that. If something major happens, a Libra who's balanced may come off balance. But a balanced Libra should usually be balanced 95% of the time, unless, like I said, a major catastrophe happens. Now, the unbalanced Libras typically they're the ones who teeter-totter between being balanced and unbalanced. So that's why we call them unbalanced, because they spend so much time in the unbalanced. And you can always tell because they act really crazy. They act unbalanced. Like one time I was talking about how many of them are bipolar. Now, mind you, anybody can be bipolar. Bipolar disorder is a mental disorder. It's a chemical imbalance in your brain. So anybody of any sun sign can, have that going on. But it's a very common disorder with Libras. And what happens is that they just become unbalanced and they act off. And when I said that, one girl got very angry with me because she was a Libra and she was bipolar and she thought it was mean of me. But I'm like, I'm not being mean to you. I'm just keeping it real that this is one of the things your sign struggles with. Those of you who are unbalanced. Some of you are born with that disorder and you struggle with it. Now, that's not to say nobody else ever gets it. Lots of people, unfortunately, have this disorder. That's actually a very common one. But unfortunately for Libras, they come up with that a lot. And what happens? They act really off. I'm trying to remember a situation that I had. Like, I remember one time I met this guy, and he and I were talking, and we were like talking on the computer, and I was going to a party. So I was telling him that I'm getting ready to leave, and we had just met like that moment. And he was like, "Oh, how are you? Blah blah blah." And I was like, "Oh, I'm getting ready to go out." Da da da. And he was like, "Oh, so where you going?" And I'm like, "I'm going to this party." So he was like, "Oh, okay. Well, I'll hit you up later." And I'm like, "Okay." And I had mentioned where the party was. We were in the same city, and I said the name of the bar. So then he hits me up, and he's like, "Oh, I'm at the bar." And I was like, "What? Why would you be at the bar?" And he was like, "Oh, I just thought I would come see you." So I was like, "Okay." And he was like, "I'm outside." I'm like, "Okay." So I went outside and I didn't see him. And I'm like, "Okay, so I didn't see you. Are you outside?" And I'm, talking on my messenger as I'm standing there. I'm like, "Where are you?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm out here." And I got the weirdest feeling. I got the strangest feeling, like he was playing with me, Like he wasn't really out there, like he was playing with me for some reason. And that's something an unbalanced Libra does. A normal fucking person does not do that. So I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna holler at you later, all right? And I went back into the bar and I blocked him. Never spoke to him again. I had the weirdest feeling from that night. And that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. Like something crazy, weird situations like that. Those are the kind of things that unbalanced Libras do. And they play little head games. They lie a lot. You know, they'll betray you in a heartbeat. You know, and that's true sometimes of even the ones that aren't unbalanced, because they have a tendency to go along with whoever comes in the room. So if you and I are talking to a Libra, they'll be agreeing with us. And then if we leave the room, they'll agree with the next person who might say something totally contrary, just to keep the peace, you know? And don't expect those unbalanced Libras, don't expect them to stand up for you or to defend you if people are talking about you, because they'll get right in on the conversation. So my thing is that if Libras are balanced, and a lot of us don't know any balanced Libras, and that's the unfortunate part, because when they are balanced, the ones I know who have been balanced have been really freaking cool, and those are my favorite. I love talking to them. I love hanging out with them. I love going places with them. They see and experience the world so fully. They see beauty in art. They can talk about books and literature and poetry for hours. I love when they're balanced. But when they are not, then not so much. So if you're wondering if the Libra can go between being balanced and unbalanced, not generally. The balanced ones pretty much stay balanced, and the unbalanced ones teeter-totter. Think about a scale. When you go look at one of those old-fashioned scales from back in the day, it's like it's like a seesaw, one to be high and one to be low. So the unbalanced Libra is like that. A part of them is high, and then it shifts, and it keeps shifting, and it keeps shifting like a seesaw. You know, the balanced ones just stay like this, and they barely move. But the unbalanced ones constantly move. So some days they're okay. Some days they talk fine, they act fine, and then the next day they do something strange, or say something strange, or do something strange, or betray you, or something like that. You know? It's a very unusual kind of energy. But generally, Aquarius and Libra are the number one romantic compatibility. If you look at any of the literature, they always recommend Aquarius and Libra. So typically, we do get along well. So if you can get a positive Aquarius with a balanced Libra, you got a pretty good combination. But if you put an unbalanced Libra with a dark Aquarius, not good. Not good. The relationship is going to be extremely dysfunctional. So it's definitely something you don't want to do. And they might harm each other. They really might hurt each other, because the unbalanced one is going to keep playing games. The dark one is going to try to outsmart them. It's going to get ugly 9 times out of 10. They don't usually fight. They might argue, but they don't usually fight, like fist fight. Sometimes the Libra and Aquarius in that situation would argue. I know for me, whenever I dealt with an unbalanced Libra, I just shut off. Shutting off is something that I generally do, period. If somebody does something that's really messed up, I just leave it alone. I just leave it alone. All that arguing and back and forth and all of that, I'm not trying to get my blood pressure up. I'm good, you know? So that's what goes on with the Libra. If you know one that goes between balanced and unbalanced, that's somebody who's just not balanced. They should generally be balanced most of the time. The ones I know that are balanced, I've never even seen them unbalanced. They've talked about being unbalanced and what they had to do to get their balance back, but I've never seen it. I've never actually experienced it. It's just a conversation that we've had among other conversations. So in that particular case, they're really cool. It's very unfortunate because a lot of the comments in the comment section about Libra, I noticed from the video I did about Aquarius and Libra that I'm going to link underneath this video. A lot of the comments are people who've met unbalanced Libras. Try to make an effort to meet some balanced ones, because the balanced ones are really cool. Okay, guys? All right, guys, it's time for me to get going. So, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you know somebody who's experiencing this and wondering about this, please pass this video on to them. Likewise, if you would like to leave me a love donation or a gift, I'll leave my information under this video. If you want to get a tarot reading done or an astrological chart or consultation on some magic, I'll leave that information too. You can also hit me up on social media because I'm on Facebook and Instagram. Thanks for being here with me today. See you later.